right, welcome everyone to the next episode of our Fake Nerds Watch series on Star Trek Picard. I'm Brandon T. McClure, co-host of the Fake Nerd Podcast and your guide through this trek. With me, as always, is Michael Karls from the Downright Nerdy Podcast.
Hi, everybody.
I lost the thread on that intro. It's okay though.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great, man. Thank you again for having me, man. It's always a pleasure
course.
being on. Yeah.
Of course. I'm glad I get to talk about the show with someone equally as passionate about Star Trek.
Wow. How passionate are we about Star Trek, man? I mean,
it's too much.
It's very, it's rare to find another someone as passionate about this in the wild and who has a lot of the same hobbies as we do. So it's really neat to talk Star Trek with you. New Star Trek too.
Yeah. A couple of programming notes up top. We are a little bit behind on our YouTube page. Right now I'm moving, so you'll see a little gaps in my DVD shelves, and my pops are gone. And my cat will undoubtedly make an appearance this episode.
The unofficial third co-host of the show.
Right. So let's get right into it. This is the Impossible Box, episode 6.
Yep.
Episode 6.
Yes, it is.
And I'm glad. First off, let me just say that I'm really glad that we're in the part of the show where the plot just doesn't stop moving.
Finally, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of buildup, but I'm feeling like it's paying off well.
Yeah.
Especially in this episode.
We aren't okay. I just finished watching Star Trek Discovery season 2.
Okay.
And one of the things I really appreciate about Star Trek Picard over Star Trek Discovery is that we waited to a long time to find out who the Red Angel was in Discovery, which is the major kind of like MacGuffin of the show, of the season. What's the Red Angel? Who's the Red Angel? What's going on? And then it took us a long time to get to a point where we actually got answers. I binged it, so it doesn't really feel like that. But if I watched that week to week, that would get frustrating.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching Picard week to week because of the show, and I never feel like I'm missing elements of the plot. I always feel like I'm getting new information every week.
Right, and yeah, I 100% feel the same way. And to be quite honest, I've been thinking about the non-binging of the show as opposed to other shows like Netflix shows where you can binge watch the entire season the day it comes out.
Right.
I like that I have a week to digest each episode.
Yeah.
With Picard.
Me too.
There are some shows that do benefit, I think, from a binging approach, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But with something that has so much substance and a lot of it's very dense. Mm-hmm. I think it allows me to appreciate what just happened a lot more once we get to that next episode.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. So let's get right into this episode. This episode, we finally get to the artifact, the Borg cube. Our crew, our motley crew of heroes, make it to the Borg cube. Raffi is drunk out of her mind.
Drunk, yes, and drunk and smoking her hookah thing, her vape pen.
Her vape pen, the 24th century equivalent of a vape pen. Yeah. Actually the sequence to get him diplomatic papers to go onto the Borg cube is really cool.
That was really fun. We finally get to see a Starfleet captain. We get to see the uniforms, which was really neat. Do you recall the name of the ship she was the captain of?
I don't. I don't know if it was named.
It may not have been. However, it does seem like Raffi is that type of has that reputation where she's kind of fallen on some hard times, but she still carries a lot of weight with a lot of the people who she served with, so they will do them favors. You know what I'm saying?
Or she just knows them so well. Like this was a friend.
Yeah.
That she knew what buttons to push to kind of get to the answer that she needed.
But I also think too that just because of her Starfleet background, she does carry some weight or some sort of, or at least enough respect that was earned during her time in Starfleet, whether it be through a friendship or through her commendations in the field. where she is able to get what she needs,
Right.
and pull it together enough to get it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that I don't think the show wants you to be wise to the fact that Picard is an enabler in this moment. He
Oh
is
yeah,
he's like, yeah, good job, keep drinking.
yeah, yeah.
Get me what I need.
That was very. I don't want to say a little disappointing for me, but
Yeah.
it was just different. It was a different side of Picard that I don't think I've really seen.
That you know what?
At
Let's.
least,
I want to. I was going to wait, and you just brought something up, and I think we should
okay,
talk about it now.
yeah,
Um, this in this episode, I really felt like, um, and I get it. Patrick Stewart is older. He acts differently than he did
yeah,
30 years ago. Picard is 30 years older. He's
yeah,
broken. He's different. But sometimes I feel like it's unrecognizably different,
yeah, yeah.
and
But
especially in that moment with Rafi.
I also think too, like I had that same thought thought process after I kind of digested that episode, and the way I kind of let it sink in my head is that when we first saw Picard, he was what 50 or so, or that's the age that he portrayed 50-ish,
I guess
55,
so.
I
I
think,
guess so.
because if he's supposed to be 90 now, or it'd be 60 then, right? So if it was 30 years later, it'd be 60. Let's just
Oh
say
wait.
give or take a decade, whatever. Okay,
I mean, he's been an old man for as long as we've been
yeah,
alive.
exactly. He's been an old man since Dune, but you know the
Callback.
yeah, but the point is that he was an adult for, let's say, 30 years during the time on Next Generation, and another 30 years have passed since we last saw him. So that's a whole another 30 years of adult life that we haven't seen, that of life experiences that we don't know about. So I mean, we can obviously you know try to think about what we can guess as to what like major things may have happened. But
Yeah.
yes, this is a different Picard with twice as many life experiences that he's had since we last saw him.
Well,
So
you
he's
look at his
obviously going to be
stance.
thinking differently.
You look at just his stance. Like he's relaxed.
Hmm.
He doesn't stand up straight. He's always got his hands in his pockets. Um, there's a lot
Yeah,
of, but classic Picard wouldn't have let Rafi be drinking. He would have put a stop to that.
he would have put a stop to that. He would have put a stop to a lot of things going on that ship. He wouldn't
Yeah.
allow the captain to smoke cigars on the bridge. You know,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of like little things, right?
Yeah.
But that was also in a time when he was a part of Starfleet. He's not on Starfleet. This isn't his ship. He has to play by someone else's rules. Yes, everybody looks up to him for where to go because he's the one. He's the so-called financier of this entire endeavor, right? Because he wants to go, do the thing, and they're helping him.
Yeah.
Maybe not financier is the right word, but he's the one that's he's the arrow of the, or
I think
he's the head of the
financiers.
arrow.
I think financier is right. I think this. Uh, it's no secret to the audience that we've seen the next episode after this. But I think that episode also makes it clear that it's a little bit more than money that these guys are after right now. They're involved. They like him. They want to be on this mission,
Yeah,
but they don't want to. They don't want him to know.
because I think if they do let him know, then that gives him almost, like, I mean, Rios might as well just give him the reins of the ship at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think it's more. I think they've got this tough people exterior. Agnes. We don't learn that Agnes killed Bruce in this episode. Well, the crew doesn't.
Yeah.
But we get a reference to Latinum, which I
Yes,
appreciated.
we do. Yeah,
Um,
I knew you were waiting for that.
yeah, the economics of the 21st century elude me at this point.
Yeah, it's to be quite honest, ever since DS9, it's kind of eluded me a little bit, just to some degree. It's just I get
But
confused every now and then.
there was always the clear cut. Earth doesn't have a class system.
Yes, yes, yes,
And that goes back to the
yes,
first
yes.
episodes where Rafi's on a trailer park and being like, "You're rich, Picard." It's like,
Yep, yep,
really? All right,
yep.
whatever. But anyway, let's talk about Hugh meeting Picard.
That was such a touching moment.
Yeah.
I thought, um, as soon as he sees him, uh, that hug exchange, and just him saying, "You're obviously here for a reason. Whatever you need, you let me know, and I'm going to do it." He that level of respect. I mean, not only that, but gratitude for what he did
Yeah.
to free him, and not only free him, but uh, just the history that they have together was instantly portrayed. Like he didn't skip a beat, and
Yeah. You get a
this is a
sense
sad
that,
episode in regards to Hugh.
yeah, you do get a sense of
Or
the
was that this?
last time.
Was that next episode? No, it was this. No, it's the next
It's
episode.
the next
Sorry.
episode, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
gosh.
the
Spoiler
you,
alert.
you get a sense that Hugh and Picard have met in the time between the last time we saw Hugh, which was Descent, which was the last time we also see Lore, because Lore took over the Borg that Hugh
Mhm.
infected and gave them all individuality. And it looks like that Picard helped Hugh reintegrate into Federation life
Yeah.
because Hugh is eternally grateful to Picard. Whereas the last time we saw him in Descent, he was very angry with Picard for sending him back to the Borg Collective.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true too. But at the same time, Hugh, while I feel like he was influenced a lot by lore. I feel like after Descent ended, I wouldn't be. I mean, I kind of got that feeling that Hugh kind of understood, or started to at least understand, and be able to, and was able to actually think on his own, as opposed to have some leader to look up to. Like in the collective, it was the Queen. On I Borg, it was LaForge and Data. On Descent, it was Lore. Right now, he's his own individual, right?
Yeah.
He's able to make the decisions himself, collect all the information he wants to make the most informed decision that he believes, right? So I think
Yeah.
um, that, I mean, yes, maybe they have met before, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did not.
I think it's likely that they have had. And I think that
Maybe.
Jonathan Delarco plays it like he has. Jonathan Delarco returning as Hugh, by the way, great. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I think he's pitch perfect
Yes.
when he's back
Which
as
was
Hugh.
odd, because when watching I Borg and Descent, he wasn't my favorite character
Yeah.
of those. I mean, maybe it was just because he was surrounded by the characters I love, and it was just okay, another
He's
Borg
also not
episode.
given a lot
That's
in
true
those two
too,
episodes.
and they are giving him a lot more here. But
Yeah.
and granted, with all the prosthetics and the makeup in the TNG episodes, it may have limited his ability to kind of portray like the different emotions, that facial expressions and things like that. So like him now, just with a couple, essentially the same kind of prosthetics that Seven of Nine had. Um, it was much. It was, I think it was easier for the actor to portray certain
Yeah.
things.
I think he completely works. Um, One of the things that I really liked is when Picard is in his ready room, I guess technically, his
His house that they
holographic
didn't,
room.
yeah, the house that they didn't want to tear the set down.
Yeah, it bugs me. It bugs me so much. But because I always wondered, like, why isn't it just the Enterprise ready room?
That would have been great too. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't it be? Yeah.
Why is he just like, I want my living room?
Yeah. It wasn't even him. They got that design from his
Oh, from
Romulan
Laura's.
friend. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
either or,
still, it's
yeah,
like, how great would it be? Like he walks in as the Enterprise ready room. Like that would have been really cool.
yeah.
But anyway, when he's doing it, he sees pictures of Hugh as he was then and Hugh now, and then he sees a picture of himself as Locutus, and how the camera frames the
Oh, that was
hologram
great.
over his face, and he's just like
So cool. Yeah.
touching his face, like making sure the Borg implants
Mhm.
aren't still there. I thought that was
That
real
was
good.
that was creepy. That was
Yeah,
good though. Very
I thought
very
that was real
that was
good.
very good cinematography. I don't. I who let's see who directed this. Maya Vivilo. I don't know who that is. Let me click. Um, Maya Vivilo. She directed some Discovery episodes.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, and a couple of the Star Trek, the short Treks episodes. Yeah. So yeah, that's her Star Trek history.
Yeah, I thought that was really great piece of filming. And then when he's on the Borg cube, I can't remember, and I think it's right that Picard hasn't been on a Borg cube since he was the cutest.
No, yeah, he has not been. And what you call it? Because the closest that it's ever been was in First Contact when they started to assimilate the Enterprise. Right.
Right,
That
but
was
he never went on the cube
no, he was
or the
never on the
sphere.
cube or the sphere.
And there
Um,
wasn't a Borg in Descent. There wasn't a Borg
mm,
cube in Descent.
nope.
Um, yeah, I guess so. I guess, yeah, he wasn't in a Borg cube
But
since Locutus.
he is what's interesting is that he takes a look around, and even Hugh makes a comment saying this is a more advanced Borg cube than the one that he was on back in that the what you call it, but when he was the cutest.
Yeah.
So
Um, but I like, he's like, this isn't the Borg, this isn't a Borg cube, it's the artifact, and you're not Locutus, you're Jean-Luc Picard.
yes, yes.
I like that because he's having like flashbacks. He's like freaking out, like, oh my
Mhm.
god, like all these memories are flushing back onto him,
Well,
and
another thing too is Hugh. He's part of the reclamation project. That's what he
yeah,
tells all the XBs too. Like you are not, 3 of 12. You are whatever, so
yeah,
and so from whatever planet. This is the artifact. We're here to liberate you, essentially.
yeah, and it's a great parallel because Picard tells Jurati, the Borg they don't adapt, they metastasize, they're monsters, and then he
Hmm.
sees these people and is like, Hugh, the Borg are victims. Like when he finally like sees the Borg as he once saw Hugh.
Yeah,
Like he always kind of like and it. I think it plays with what we know from canon because he's always kind of looked at the Borg as people you could de-assimilate, but the Borg as an entity are monsters. But now to see them like now to see
as a
like
collective, right?
yeah, but now to see like this de-assimilation on such a massive scale, he's now looking at all these people who used to be Borg and realizing they're all like
And,
this. Every
and it was,
one of these people were taken
yeah.
were taken against their will.
And what's interesting is that Picard makes mentions something to the effect of like I've never seen something on this scale before, where we have in Voyager, where they were starting
Not at this scale.
not this scale, but it was a larger scale than what Picard
Yeah,
was referencing, right?
yeah,
Because the only experience they have is with Hugh,
yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, they've. I'm sure there have been other people who've been de-assimilated,
Yeah,
um, but
but
like at First Contact, they killed everyone who was turned to a Borg.
yeah, they made zero effort. It's kind of
Yeah,
rude.
and well, even like in what's the girl's name from First Contact?
Who?
The Alfred Woodard. I forgot her name.
Oh gosh.
Is that from Cochrane? Anyway, but she makes a mention of the fact like they brought you back. Why don't you bring them back?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's different. Why? Because it
Why is
is.
it different? Yeah, but that doesn't make it doesn't that's another plot hole that I think we did talk about too when we
But
did
it,
our
but it, but it's
first
about
one.
Picard. It's not a plot hole. It's about Picard's unwillingness to see the Borg as anything other than the collective because of what they did to him. That's the plot of First Contact. Is that he can't get
Do
over
you
what the
think that
collective did to him.
if Geordi was a part of that away team up on the Enterprise, he would have been able to have you know gotten some sense into Picard more than I mean, granted, it'd probably make for less story, I guess.
I think it's not a First Contact discussion.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah,
It's okay. Um,
I
but
see Borg, and that's what I want to talk about.
I
Um,
like the Borg a lot. I'm glad they're in this. I'm glad they're in this. I
yeah,
think we're
me
coming
too.
to a
And it's nice to see the Borg in a non-antagonistic role.
yeah. Though
You
I
know what
do
I'm
think
saying?
it's coming.
I think it's coming too, and to be honest, I think what's going to happen. Oh, we'll talk about it after the next
Yeah.
episode.
Well, I think this episode kind of calls into question something that we've always known is that there is a mystery underneath the main plot line of this first season,
And there, yeah,
which is
absolutely.
which is why did the Borg disconnect this cube from the collective?
Yeah.
It's a mystery. Nobody knows why. It
Mhm.
wasn't in a battle. It just stopped being part of the collective one day.
And it was very, very clear that there's going to be something else going on with the Borg, which will probably be a cliffhanger to season 2.
Probably.
And it automatically clicked when Hugh brought Picard and Soji to the
Chamber.
Queen's chamber, and they were able to teleport out or do do that Iconian teleportation doorway, right? But when they go down there, Hugh's like, "Yeah, no one knows about this but me," or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Nobody knows
okay."
about this but Borg.
But Borg, yeah,
Because the
and
Borg know about it because of their shared memory.
exactly, yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. But then I'm thinking, okay, what else do the Borg know? Is there like some secret chamber of a whole bunch of legions of Borg that are about to activate or something? I don't know. Um,
Well, what I
I
like
wouldn't be
about
surprised if that happened for.
I think they just subtly referenced the fact that the Queen is still alive.
Well, they also said that there's different queens, right? There's
I don't remember
different.
that.
Yeah, no, they did. They absolutely said that. They said that the consciousness of the queen acts as a collective as well. So all the queens on the different Borg cubes, they act as their own separate queen collective.
Oh,
And
I
they
understand what you're saying. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that was implied in Voyager, but what I'm saying is I think in Voyager, the final episode of Voyager, it does imply that Voyager destroyed the final queen. Like there were no like the queen are gone, the Borg are gonna be, but that
so
plot
we
thread.
think.
Well, I know. I think that's what happened. It's like that plot thread was left untouched for so long that now Shaban has come in and be like, okay, well, what if they didn't?
Yeah.
What if the Queen is still around because the Borg would still be around? So I'm wondering.
Plus we can't
We're
also
speculating.
count out, of course, just on the last second speculating thing, we can't even count out time travel and the mirror universe as well. So
I want to count out the mirror universe.
they could have come from there too. So
Yeah, it's true.
leave it at that. We do
Mirror universe Borg.
talk
What would they
about
look like?
Soji's dream.
Yeah. Narek takes advantage of Soji's dreams in this situation.
Yeah. First off, we see Soji and Narek again because we didn't see them all last episode.
Yes.
And which was a great breath of fresh air. However, when they come back here, it's not as terrible as it was the first 5 episodes or first 4 episodes.
Do you know why? Because something happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They finally did something with this plot line.
Yeah.
It's been so frustrating the past the first 4 episodes of this plot line that nothing changed, nothing happened, and then finally some movement. Soji realized that she is not human. Narek finally revealed his true colors.
Mm-hmm. So the way that they do it is Soji's looking at her photo albums and all her childhood things. She somehow has this tool that
she's carbon dating.
Yeah, carbon dating it, and nothing goes back further than 3 years. She freaks out. Narek takes her to some Romulan, dream chamber or something or other where supposedly you have to take your shoes off. I don't know why, but you do this and you walk through like a Jumanji board kind of thing, and you get to experience different memories. And
what did you think of the idea that the Romulans have 3 different names?
I didn't really think much of it. Should I have?
I hate it. Because they have so Soji is just like everyone knows that Romulans have 3 names. The one that you give to people, the one that you have in secret, and then the one that you work. Like I'm just like, that's dumb and overcomplicated. Like one name, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just may have it may have just went in one ear out the other for me. It didn't really.
It's like I projected back. I was like, "Are you telling me that every Romulan that we ever met was giving a false name? Like that's stupid."
Yeah, I guess so, huh? Or maybe she was just referencing Tal Shiar.
No, it's just Romulan.
She's
just
Romulan?
like everyone knows Romulans are this. And it goes back to like the whole thing. Like Romulans are super secret. And it's like they're really not though.
And you know what's funny is that like not every Romulan is super secret. You know what I'm saying? It's just maybe whatever. I don't know. We could talk about that for days.
There's a couple of Romulan retcons in the series that do make my head hurt. Like the whole thing is like, we don't trust any cybernetic synthetics. Like there were Romulans chomping at the bit just to look at Data's brain.
Yeah.
In the originals, in Next Generation. Like, come on, that's dumb.
Yeah.
They're adding like layers and layers to the Romulan thing, and if it works for the series, then I'm not gonna.
They want Romulans to be an onion, but they're really just apples. They have one layer, and then they have the meat, and then they have an evil nutty core.
What they are is Roddenberry. Roddenberry said the Klingons can't be the villains anymore, so the Romulans will be.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So they're in this chamber, and she references this dream that she keeps having of her walking into her dad in some flower room, but she can never see past the flowers. She always wakes up when her dad yells at her. And then, long story short, Narek kind of pushes her to kind of look past the dream, and once she's able to look
because
past,
he realizes it's not a dream, it's a memory.
exactly, yeah. And once she does, she sees herself as a wooden Pinocchio type figure
Yeah.
in pieces. A nice little reference to the first episode of TNG with when Riker makes
The Pinocchio joke.
Pinocchio joke to Data.
Yeah.
Kind of
Well, so
fun
I wanted to touch. That's a really good place to touch on because Marek says, "Why would an android have dreams?"
hmm
It's a sub, and he speculates the idea that's like every piece of a positronic brain, every piece of a synthetic has a purpose.
hmm
So, and they're constantly making new neurons and new connections to learn and to grow. That's how Data was able to learn and grow. But what happens when you want one to believe that they're human, even though they're not? They would. So the idea is that she is taking all the evidence that she is not human, and her brain is transporting it into these dreams, so that is never aware of the fact that she's not human.
Yes.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. It reminds me of the episode of TNG when I can't remember. I can't recall the name of the episode, but it's when Data keeps trying to follow the sparrow, the black.
Oh, when he's
Bird.
having a dream, yeah.
Yeah, he's having a dream, and he's constantly trying to figure out what that dream means, and
He opens the chest and there's a phone.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good. I enjoyed that little kind of callback to androids and dreams. That's what I kind of took out of it.
There's a Philip K. Dick book called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which was turned into Blade Runner, and I think that's also what they're referencing.
Yeah, possibly. So, anyways, Narek was able to get her to remember the dream, and essentially, like his whole goal is to try to find out where the synth homeworld is now.
Yes.
She looks up after she sees herself as a Pinocchio figure. Looks up, and there's a stormy, like an orange cloud with two red moons, or something to that effect. And finally, Narek's sister, who's listening in, says, "Good job, little brother," or whatever,
Yeah,
And
she goes to search for this planet, and
planet.
Narek is going to kill Soji.
Yeah, a little callback to Nemesis in the way that he does it.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, this little what do you call it? The impossible box opens, and then the little twirly thing, and then a bunch of gas comes out, and she's able to Hulk smash her way through the floor down into the.
And I like it, and this is kind of where we get into the Picard stuff again, because Picard's looking for Soji, and Hugh is helping him, and he's realizing like she's activating, she's realizing who she is.
Yeah.
It's like, Hugh, it's very important that you get me to her right now.
Yeah.
And so they find her, and I'm really glad that they finally connected, and we have Soji and Picard meet, and they didn't draw this out for another episode.
And now we have one line of storyline now. It finally converged into one, and now we're just going forward with one. There's nothing...
And I really kind of like that Soji is like, "Who are you?" And it's like, "I don't have time to explain. You're safe with me. Please come with me. Let's go."
Yeah.
And
essentially, she's just choosing the lesser of two evils, because it's either stay on the ship that where someone's trying to kill her, or go with somebody off the ship, but can't trust them either.
Yeah.
But off the ship seems like a pretty good idea, seeing as a bunch of Romulans are trying to kill her.
Did you catch the guy who yells out "Locutus"?
I did. Who was that?
It's just some random Borg dude.
Random dude? Okay, random
This
Borg
is
guy.
some random XB who's just like, "Locutus?" I kind of like it, because Picard's like, "What?"
Yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah, I kind of thought that was funny. Yeah, Elnor was supposed to stay on the ship. He doesn't.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he doesn't. He goes out and helps Picard and Soji escape, which is weird to me. That why couldn't all four of them just have gone in and maybe like close the door, turn off the little thing? I don't know. Did they
That's
explain
a good point.
that? I missed that.
Someone needs to turn it off.
Really? That's it? That's the
They
whole
don't
thing.
explain. They don't explain it, but that's if I had to come up with an excuse right now, it would be someone
The
has to
only
turn it
thing that
off.
I kind of thought of is maybe Hugh did not want to leave all his XBs behind.
Yeah, that could be
Maybe.
too. Yeah, I could buy that
Um, but that
because
still doesn't.
he's really he doesn't want to. They're his people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I could buy that. That he wouldn't want. He didn't want
Are
to
we
leave.
going? Let's go with that. All right, let's go with
Yeah,
that.
I'd go
I
with
think
that.
it'll make me
It's it's a little
rationalize the next episode a little bit better.
it's a little dumb that Elnor stays though.
It is. I mean, but granted, like his whole thing is he's staying because he gives his sword to lost causes, is what I understand, right?
Sure.
And him staying to defend the XBs and Hugh seems like a lost cause. So he's like, yes, I'll defend you now or whatever.
But he's not doing it to protect Hugh. He's doing it to protect Picard.
Initially, right? But then doesn't Picard say something like you are no longer in my service or something like that?
Yeah, but he says I don't accept.
Maybe until after he leaves, and then he's like,
Maybe.
okay, now I got Hugh to look after.
But there's no reason for Elnor
There's
to
no
leave.
reason.
Like
Yeah.
If Hugh closes the door, then it's just like, hey, they went that way.
Yeah.
But because Elnor's there, they're just like, excuse me, who's that?
Yeah, he kind of messes it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just plot contrivance because of what we know of the next episode, not the one that comes after this, but the one after that. What we know about the
Yeah.
next episode, about the episode after.
Um,
Yeah, it's a little. I kind of wish that they didn't, but and it's also weird that Picard is like, let me go to Nepenthe. Like, why not
I
just
mean,
go onto the ship?
I don't. I thought that Hugh said something about it has to be a planet.
I don't think so.
Let's see.
For people who don't know,
Yeah.
he's looking at Memory Alpha.
Oh no! Oh yeah! All it's yeah. I am looking at Memory Alpha. Sorry. Yeah, it has a range of 40,000 light years, so I'm pretty sure that the ship is within 40,000 light
Yeah,
years. I don't know why
exactly. Go to the ship.
maybe it's because they know that they're all on the ship, or like if they did beam aboard that ship, then they would know, and then because they had him in the tractor beam, right?
Or it could be that he wants to get as far away from them as possible, and then
Try to save because they're not after them, they're after Picard
yeah,
and Soji. So
and they wouldn't
maybe
let go of the ship if
yeah.
if Soji was on that ship. I
Yeah.
guess.
I understand going to Nepenthe because it's like it's a very last ditch effort kind of thing. Maybe.
Like the first thing he thought of.
Yeah, exactly. He was in a state of just panic. He's like, Nepenthe, I need to go see Riker right now.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
Well,
sorry,
spoilers.
He's going to Riker.
um,
My bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything more about this episode that we could talk that we could touch on though? I'm just really happy that finally Soji and Picard are connected.
Yeah, I mean, while there was a lot of fun stuff going on, it was a very straightforward episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There wasn't too much to really. I mean, like minus all the little Easter eggs that we already talked about, there really wasn't too much else, right?
No, but it's not necessarily that there isn't too much. Is that it's
No, we
not.
haven't talked about that one.
Yeah, it's not. It's not taking its time. It is running through the plot, and I kind of like that. I think the pacing of the plot right now is pretty good.
I think the pacing throughout, actually, at least with Picard's side of the story, was great. Soji's side obviously was slow for us, but everything with Picard moving where it's at, I think it's going really good, and I really enjoyed. I mean, I know that I think I know why Elnor just stayed is because they wanted some dude swinging a sword just for action purposes. I think
Because it's cool.
because it's cool, and it was cool seeing him do all that stuff. I don't think it was absolutely necessary, but I think it was
Yeah.
kind of neat seeing that. I mean, you see this guy that's been training like essentially like a Romulan John Wick with a sword, right? And you want to see him in action, so
Yeah.
why not throw him into a Borg cube with a bunch of Romulans that who hate him, right?
Yeah.
I love his little saying. What does he say? Like, please, brothers, or
Please, my friends, choose
please,
to
my
live.
friends, choose to live. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, because he's like, if you cross the sword with one of these guys, you're not coming out the other end
Yeah,
alive.
yeah.
Unless
However,
unless you're plot relevant.
exactly. Hence, next episode.
Yes, I think that's it for this episode. I can't think of anything more to add to it. Um, Unless you
Can't
got
think of
anything
anything.
more. Really like seeing Jonathan Del Arco with Picard. By the way, Jonathan Del Arco, it was his idea to hug Picard, to hug Patrick Stewart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were trying to figure out like what would be good for the first meeting between you guys in like 30 years. Like how would this? And Jonathan Del Arco is like, well, I'd like to hug you if that's okay. And it was like, yeah,
He was
let's do
he was
that.
just fanboying. That's what he was doing.
Probably. I mean, it's
Did
like
we get anything of your doctor?
we talk a little bit about her. She doesn't have a lot to do in this
She
episode.
doesn't have a lot to do, but she is definitely feeling the repercussions of her actions of killing her dude.
Oh, I forgot about the worst thing. She sleeps with Rios.
Yeah, that's right. Or does she sleep with her? Or just oh yeah, he does. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
hesitant at first, but then she does finally. Yeah,
That was
she's
dumb.
playing soccer, and yeah, that was very forced. It did not feel natural at all. It felt dumb. I did not like it at all.
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, that's probably why we blocked it out of our memory.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, she feels guilty for what happened to Bruce. And you know what? I kind of thought this was going to go. I think that she didn't want to kill Bruce. I think she felt like she had to.
Yeah, we find out more about that later.
Yes. So we see a little bit more of her guilt, and she sleeps with Rios, which is awful. And
No,
Rafi.
not Rios. Rios.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you got to say that Rios.
Rafi kind of starts to become a little sober. Like Rios helps Rafi stop drinking so much. Outside of Picard and Soji, though, the crew kind of sits on the sidelines.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. Because there's so much going on the Borg cube, we wanted to see this reunion between Hugh and Picard.
Yeah.
We waited for quite a while.
I really like the design of the Borg cube.
That it was what?
I really like the design of the Borg cube.
Yeah, it was kind of neat, right? I mean, like Hugh said, it was updated and it was a lot sleeker. It looked like.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
I like the moving plates and the.
Yeah,
I think that's all really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really neat.
The species that they assimilated. Sorry, does Memory Alpha, since you have it up, the species that they got that transport tech from is a Voyager species. I forgot their name at this moment. Do you mind pulling it up?
Device from the Borg attained the Sicarians.
The Sicarians. They're a Voyager species. Voyager tried to get them to tried to help them. Tried to get them to use their tech to go to the Alpha Quadrant, but it didn't work.
Voyager episode Prime Factors.
Yeah. I guess the Borg got to them. That sucks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, huh? Yeah, I forgot about that. Wow,
Yeah.
Good call. Good call on that.
Yeah. There's a lot of Voyager callbacks to the season. There's more Voyager than there is to Next Gen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. All right. So let's get out of here then. Let's we're gonna end this episode. Thank you to everyone who's watching this right now. This is on our Fake Nerd Podcast channel. We have a podcast called Fake Nerd Podcast, which we do every week. We probably have an episode of Bloodshot coming out by the time you're listening to this. If not, A Quiet Place Part 2.
Is that coming out already? Wow.
From the moment we're recording this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Got it. All right.
Yeah. Depending on how quickly we get this one up. On this channel is also our Basement Arcade series, where Brian and Ben are going through Sonic Mania. And we might be putting up another one soon. Little sizzle there. You can find us every week. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter, or Fake Nerd Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on all the social medias and whatnot. Michael, Downright Nerdy Podcast, where can they find you?
They can find us anywhere that you type in Downright Nerdy Podcast. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, all those fun places, downrightnerdy.com. On Twitter at Nerdy Downright, because I did that incorrectly the first time and I can't change it anymore. So, yeah, find us there. But make sure you click down here right next to where it says Fake Nerd Podcast. Subscribe. Click that little notification bell so you guys know when the next episode is coming out, because we're going to be doing this all through Picard and possibly some more series later on, and some I know I was talking with a couple of your colleagues over at Fake Nerds. We're thinking about doing some cool book club stuff with a couple of new novels coming out. So
yeah,
hit this bell right down here. It's super
so a lot of cool stuff coming out. He's a lot better at this than I am, so definitely subscribe to this and subscribe to his channel.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next episode.
Yeah. Thank you again, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. We're going to be wearing the same clothes for next week.